On today's show, we got the owner of Tiny Mighty Micro Farm joining us to talk about her experience with growing microgreens from the beginning to where she is now and what coaching program has helped her. So get ready. Here's the owner of Tiny Mighty Micro Farm. Let's get into it. All right. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background before you got into microgreens?
Absolutely. I've been living in the same town for about 23 years, and I'm living in the southeast corner of the state, so it's super hot and humid down here. I've, I've got a family, a few kids. They're all getting older. I'm not going to tell you how old they are. I don't give my age away. In 2022, I came down with breast cancer and found myself needing to find very highly nutrient dense food and started doing my research and found out that the sulforaphane in the cruciferous vegetables were extremely helpful in helping with the fight of almost any cancer, not just breast cancer, but any cancer. And then that led to further investigations where I discovered the nutrient concentration in microgreens. Different crops have different levels, but all of them together were extremely helpful in leading me towards my cancer remission.
So that's what got you interested in microgreens in general, to eat them for yourself for helping with the cancer, right?
We definitely started out eating them just for personal use, obviously. And the other thing that made sense for me was while I was going through treatment, it was actually something fun to do because I love to garden. And being sick and not feeling so hot when all the other fun things that go along with treatment, it was actually something to look forward to every day. And it was easy to do because it's just a tray with a little bit of dirt in it, some seeds and some water, and you throw it
Simple.
in a grow light. What do you know? You've got food, healthy, fresh food
Yeah.
right there in 10 days. It was really fun and rewarding. So I love the garden, like I said.
Yeah.
So it went kind of hand in hand for me, which is why it made sense for me to turn this into a business.
Awesome. So just to follow up, because I'm sure people will have this question when they watch this video, the cancer all good and everything?
Knock on wood, we are great.
Awesome. Good. So what was your biggest hesitation before starting a microgreen business?
My biggest hesitation was actually me as dreamed about starting this business because I would watch the YouTube video and algorithm would bring up the microgreen grower programs, the ads that would run for different programs to teach you everything you need to know in order to do this. And, sort of dreamed about it, but it was an investment that I really wasn't able to make at that time.
Yep.
And plus, I had a lot of doubt at that time. So a lot of it was me. But I still kept watching those YouTube videos, hoping that somebody would spill the beans and teach me how to do this out of the business. That never really happened. I was talking to a really, really good friend of mine, and he literally told me that I will never know until I actually try. And the beginning of actually, I guess it was about a year ago this month, I decided to take the plunge and say, you know what? I loved doing this so much during my cancer treatment. Why not give
Well,
this a shot? I was actively seeking some mentorship at that point.
that's the best way to go, right? Get somebody to help you out for things you don't know. Let's talk about the early stages though. When you first started and you decided to take this a little bit more serious and everything else, what did your first setup look like? Did you start with 6 rack, one little rack, on a table? What was that setup?
My setup was very simple. I was ill when I first quit.
Yeah.
Keep bringing that up, but I was. So we just went to, a warehouse one of those club warehouse stores and bought a wire rack. I literally bought a couple of grow lights, probably just two, not even enough to do the whole rack.
Yeah.
And I think in total 20 trays from Bootstrap Farmer, 10 slotted, 10 solid bottoms, and literally one bag of dirt. I think I asked for Mother's Day that year for 1 pound seed packets of seeds from True Leaf Market.
Nice.
So I started out bare bones, like so simple, as little as I could possibly need. I wasn't totally new to growing things, since I like to garden.
Yes. You already have a little bit of a green thumb, right?
I do, but I want to just throw that out right away. You could have the blackest of thumbs and still be a phenomenal microgreen grower. It's really not that hard. Even if you think you can't, you can.
And this isn't a crop you're waiting 4 months to figure out if you did grow it right? Most of them are 10 days. You didn't grow right, you throw it out, get what you can off of it, you start over and figure out what you did wrong, you make adjustments. And you can go through 4 growth cycles in a month. You're going to have it down.
Yes, absolutely. That is awesome. That, just like you said, it's not like you're growing giant heads of cabbage where it's a 3 or 4 month grow and then you have some weird insect come in and take it off or something like that. That's the benefits of growing indoor
Yes.
also, and that you don't have those pest pressures, thank goodness. So
Awesome. Was there any challenges that came about that you can go back on that you had?
my biggest challenge is my geographic area. The humidity is truly my nemesis. I've always heard in business that you should invest in your weaknesses. And that is something I definitely invested in. It was probably my first big, or I considered big, investment for the growth of my crops to turn out even better. The dehumidifier, it was just a night and day difference. It really made a big difference for me and my stuff, definitely.
Was there any points in that initial beginning, or heck, even now you might have as well, any points that you like want to give up and you wanted to give up or anything like that? Like, oh, this isn't going to work or anything like that?
On the business as a whole,
Yeah, we all have them moments, right?
I'm not gonna fib and say that arugula hasn't given me some moments where I was like, do I really want to be doing this? Do I really want to be doing this? And some people would probably say that maybe washing trays makes them feel that way, but no, arugula has been my
Nemesis.
point. I had a situation where I was trying out using different amounts of soil in my trays, and I doubled the amount of soil so that I could have a higher yield, which was great. But I didn't account for my soil being really good at retaining moisture. So I accidentally overwatered that time and I had I couldn't just like throw out the arugula and try again. I had several orders from chefs and a caterer specifically for that arugula. I had to hand sort through those trays for the little dampened off guy. So that was definitely a low point.
Yeah. But you got enough for the chefs and everything was good for them?
Yes.
And they know,
Had some extra to sell. So
there you go.
all turned out great in the end. But did it actually cause me to ever? I've never had I want to quit yet. No,
Okay, good.
not for me.
Well, we used to call arugula argula until we figured out how to grow it well. And we even teach it in our coaching group. We did a grow along series on how to grow arugula and did it 2 different ways and show every people how to do it, because I know that's a crop that everybody hates. And that's the reason why our hates has problems with it, I should say. And that's why we also do Grow Along series all the time in that coaching group. So just want to let you guys know that. What was your first sales like? And how did it make you feel afterwards?
My first sale was actually to a caterer, and they approached me. That was super awesome and made me feel really, really good. It was a little bit of a warm lead, I guess, just because I didn't know this lady that bought them the caterer. I didn't know her, but she knew the lady that I had given samples to. And, they had talks amongst themselves. Very sweet lady. Like I said, she decided that she was going to kind of take me under her wing. And so she was my first account, which was just so exciting. It truly was. I look forward to those situations all the time. If I don't mind saying so, I actually closed another restaurant account a couple days ago. And all through the power of sampling. People will buy what they try. I know that with restaurants, it can be a little bit different depending on the type of restaurant and what that restaurant's niche is, if microgreens will fit their menu. It's actually really fun for me. I'm a weirdo. I actually enjoy sales. I have that never met a stranger type personality. I just love to talk to people. I get to know people. Honestly, I feel I'm not trying to brag about my microgreens because I'm buying the same seeds that everyone else is, but I I love it to get that feedback from the chefs in the kitchen to where they're like, "Oh, wow, yours are so much better than the ones I was getting from this distributor," just because it really speaks volumes how fresh the product is coming from their hometown than through a distributor necessarily. I love getting that feedback. It makes me happy. I feel like the product sells itself. I don't really have to do a lot of salesy things. I don't want to tell anybody that you need to be a people person or a salesy person because it doesn't. I literally walk in and I'm like, "Where's Chef?" I don't know who Chef is 100% of the time. But I say, "Where's the chef?" If somebody spots me first, I'm saying hi. And they will go, "Oh." So, and then I just go talk to them. And it's awesome and amazing what 3 different types of microgreens and a fresh sheet will do and following up in a week. It's not rocket science. It really isn't.
Isn't it as easy as she's making it sound, guys? It does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of coaching to get there and understand what it is. But yeah, it becomes easy when you come second natural. And if you're a natural born
I
salesman,
will say that we have people who are in our group who are not salesy people or come from a sales background, never have proclaimed themselves as being the never known a stranger type, and they're rocking it with the chefs too. So it's not me. It can be your turn.
yes, for sure. What do you think has been your most effective strategy of getting new customers? And I think you touched on it a little bit by just going in and talking to the chef, but is there anything else that you have?
Well, there's fun little event that I go to once a month called Vegan Night. It's interesting because if you're a people watcher, it's interesting to watch how people go cookies and treats and cupcakes. And I have cookies and bread and treats. And then there's somebody else across the way who is selling homemade vegan breads and those little protein bite things, that you can buy. So there's all these yummy little sweet things around everywhere. And
Mm.
I'm selling vegetables. I'm selling the opposite end of the spectrum, right? I'm selling vegetables, something healthy. So I just am so grateful for my spot. At least I get to be in between the cookies and the bread. The thing that I think has really helped me level up in that situation is sampling, you guys. Again, people buy what they try. And just having people noticing me there, even if they're just walking from one sweet table, I can be like, "Hey, have you ever tried microgreens before?" And if they answer and they say no and they keep walking, then that's it. But if they go, Oh, I haven't. I'm like, ask them, what are you a spicy food person or do you like, not spicy food? And then they answer that question and I start naming which ones I have off the table because I use live displays, which ones are the ones that are spicier and which ones are not. And then I start handing out samples. And the next thing I know, they're buying stuff from me too. So I would say that has really helped, not just with the chefs, anywhere you're trying to get people who are already
Yeah.
making food, you want to give them a sample so they can see how it's going to incorporate into their menu or maybe a special they're going to try. Of course, when you're selling direct to a consumer, you've got to appeal to their taste buds. The only way you're going to do it is by having them taste it.
Sampling is huge. If you can go to events like the vegan night that you go to or at farmers markets, if you can get people to eat it and taste it, that is the best marketing you could ever not pay for. It's a little bit of product, be really not paying for it, right? The best marketing is to get it in their mouth. Great job on doing the sampling. We try to sample at every event that we can. We still go to grocery stores and sample there that we're already in, and you find new people. You get the kids and you make sure they have a sunflower, right? Because then they're going to be like, oh, that's awesome. And the parents are going to start buying them sunflower microgreens. They'll be like, oh, they don't like green. Well, now they do. So don't hesitate. Don't discount the kids. Make sure they get something and give them a sunflower. That's the best thing to give them.
Since you bring that up, the past 2 times, because vegan night's only once a month for me. The past 2 times I've had 2 separate times where the little kid, probably 7 and under, just walk up to my table and they're like, "I wanna try some." And I'm like, "Okay." I swear I'm always telling my partner when the little kids come up to the table, I'm just like, "Here, take all my samples. Please eat healthy food."
If we can turn it around and have kids eating this stuff when they're young, it can change a lot of people's health.
Change the world.
Yes. We'll start with health and then we'll go for the world, right? Let's go ahead. Yeah. So,
Health is your wealth.
well, that is true. And you can eat your medicine too. What is your main sales outlets right now? Where are you selling most?
The vast majority of my sales are to chefs and caterers. I live in a very touristy area, so there are a lot of restaurants, and that's why there's a lot of catering because it brings people in from other areas. So there's a lot of catering that goes along here as well. So that's where the bulk of my business goes. Second will be vegan night, definitely, and then I do have some other customers that I've picked up just by sharing what I do. Like I'm in a book club. I have a very consistent customer slash friend who goes to that book club. And so she always is buying microgreens from me now. But it's just, people finding out what I do and they're interested or they're on there just trying to be healthier. And then they find out how easy it is to use microgreens in things that they're already eating that they're just like, oh, yeah, give me some of those.
By the way, having your first customer as a caterer is not typical. Usually are down the road later after you've done some home deliveries, maybe some restaurants, and then you stumble into some catering. So that's a very unique first customer as a caterer. You're unique.
I don't want anybody to think that I'm huge or anything like that because we're getting there. I do have other smaller sales too,
Yeah.
obviously, just with friends and family or people that I've been living here in this area for almost 23 years. So you kind of get to know some folks in that amount of time. If I have too much of something, I will call or text some friends and be like, hey, I got some microgreens. Sometimes my text marketing in those times where I had a bumper crop, does help me out some to have, if it's more than me and my partner can eat before the next grow.
Awesome.
A lot of microgreens.
Have you ever needed to pivot what you were doing, your strategy or anything, or have you just pretty much stayed course?
Say something that has really helped the quality of my crops has been my lesson of mesh trays versus slotted trays. Now, my opinion could be controversial. Other growers that are way bigger than me, and maybe they have everything super dialed in. But for me and my hot, humid climates, I really have to manage how much water is going into my trays. In the beginning stages, I would say one of my biggest struggles, even before getting the dehumidifier, like I mentioned, was that my crops were coming out wet. They were wet, and I didn't like that. I was like, that's not right." Then it became a situation where I would reduce the amount of water, but the water distribution wasn't good enough, so then I would have wilting crops. They start to wilt on the edges too
Right.
much. And then sometimes, depending on what variety it is, they don't bounce back as well as maybe some other ones would
Yeah.
if they just got a little dry. Our favorite arugula slash argula is definitely one of those crops where a mesh tray is going to be way more to your advantage. I started experimenting with all of my trays during the hot, humid summers here, able to cut down the amount of water that I was like watering each tray almost half of what I was doing previous to that. So that was the pivot I had to make. Once I discovered that my crops would tolerate the lesser amount of water and they wouldn't wilt or faint, I call it fainting. They
Painting.
start fainting on me. Then I was like, wow, this is really working. And it's keeping my humidity levels down or helping me control it better. And my crops were coming out drier. It was a win-win overall. So for me, that was a huge win slash experiment. And then once I discovered it, I would like, give me some more of those mesh trays
Yes.
because I need them. So now, aside from sunflowers and peas, I pretty much grow everything in mesh.
If I had to completely start over, I would buy mesh trays mostly. I wouldn't do them for peas and sunflowers, the really rootier crops, but all the other crops do pretty well in them. Probably not wheatgrass, just because they get really rooty down there, right? Everything else I would do in mesh trays because it's more even distributing. Plus, we're getting ready to look at automatic watering, so I think you're going to get much better watering when you're doing the flood and drain kind of setup or however we do it. Definitely would recommend mesh trays to start with. They're easier, they're lighter to mess with too, because they're just that much lighter with Bootstrap. So I definitely 100% recommend getting the mesh trays to start out 99% of your crops.
For me personally, with the type of scrubbing brush that I'm using to clean my trays, I feel like it's easier to get a mesh tray clean than it is the slotted. The only reason is the grooves in
Yeah.
the slotted, little
Well, there's
bits of
splitting little
soil.
holes, right? It's a little harder for everything to go through.
Yeah, but the soil almost gets packed in those little
Yeah.
grooves that are in that slotted tray.
Yep.
You use more elbow grease and
We
use
don't want that.
you would put enough elbow grease cleaning trays.
Side benefit, the crops grow really well and they're easier to clean.
In my opinion.
In our opinion, I would agree with you in that opinion.
Oh,
So,
okay, awesome. That's
yes. Because when you scrub them, everything just kind of falls through rather than it gets bogged up in the corner or, like you said, in the grooves. If anybody's got trays, they come with grooves through them like racing tracks. The mesh ones don't have that because it's mesh all the way through them. So, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So, awesome pivot. All right. So, want to talk a little bit about the coaching program that you're part of over at Microgreen Business Coaching. How being part of that group has helped you.
that group has helped. The better question would be to ask how has it not helped me? And I say that just because there there are so many things that unless you're already a super business savvy person, you don't know how to do. The whole reason I was looking for a mentor in the first place is because I knew I would need a website. I knew I would need not just instructions on how to grow or the best equipment or the best environment to create, all of those things, which, by the way, are things that e- this coaching group hones in on 100%. I'm not tech savvy. So awesome with people and paper, but if you give me a computer and ask me to figure that out, that's not going to be a good time for anybody or anyone in my immediate proximity. I always say it's like, give me people and give me paper any day. And I joke and say my brain is analog also. I will say that if you do not know how to create an internet presence, because if you want your a company, a chef, a customer, a direct to customer to take you seriously, you need a website. So if you are just doing this on Facebook or Instagram, you're fly by night. They're not going to take you serious. They only want to deal with people who have a business license, insurance. They're not trying to deal with somebody who's just getting their toe wet and not really sure if they're doing this thing or not. It really shows that if you went through the trouble of having a website and paying for it, that you mean business.
Yeah.
You do mean business. So that in and of itself was astronomical. You mentioned that, or I've mentioned chefs a lot. Chefs know their way around microgreens, people, and they don't want just broccoli or or radish. They basically don't want the easy grow stuff. They want basil and chervil and amaranth and,
Eats.
leeks. They want all the arugula. I hate to say it.
That arugula again.
Every time I sample it out and I get an order for it, it's such a love hate thing. Oh, I have to grow more arugula. And harvest it successfully. The group also helps you because it's like, and I know you just because you have a product and a website, you still don't have customers. This group has really helped teach us how to find those customers, where to look for those customers. Why do you think I took my microgreen to vegan night? Because vegans are known for eating a lot of vegetables. There's a lot of things that are technically vegan, but
Yeah. There's a lot of bad stuff you can do. Yes.
that was a hint. That was a tip. Even if you don't have an actual vegan night, maybe there are vegan groups on Facebook or other ways that you can source out customers who are real foodies. Those are tips and tricks that the microgreens business coaching has really helped me hone in and try to find customers outside of just chefs.
So if you could pick one thing that you learned in the program, not talking about the live Q&As or anything else, there's one thing in the program with the classrooms and everything else that's in there. What is one thing that you could pick out that you've learned that made the biggest impact on you in your business?
As a classroom, I would have to hand down 100% say marketing. I love you, Dad.
She does a great job. My wife teaches all the marketing stuff because she's a wizard at it and does great and does so much research on figuring everything out like that and everything. So she definitely does that. That is her thing. Thank God that we have a team that we can work together and share all this knowledge with everybody. There's a lot of marketing videos in there that we've done from Facebook to Instagram to websites to setting up Square, SEO stuff. So yeah.
Even down to how to make those posts, how to time those posts. What is SEO? I didn't know what SEO was until I met.
There you go.
So if you don't know anything about the internet, I can't recommend this mentorship more than any other just because not only do you have the classroom to go to, but if you watch a video and you have a question about it later, there's a live Q&A you can go to. You would have to be tied. You can't put a dollar amount on that, being able on a weekly basis to actually speak to your mentors about an issue, problem, brainstorm, you name it, anything and everything about your business. Where do I get a banner? What do you think about my logo? Where do I get a logo? There's so much about putting together a business that you just don't know. I don't want to say that to mean it's overwhelming, but I knew all of that because I've worked in sales previous to this. That was the really intimidating part to me about starting my business at all, is because I knew that I needed all that stuff, but I didn't have a clue on how to do it. So I knew going into this to make it a successful business that I needed a mentor.
I think everybody needs a mentor in anything you're doing. I have mentors, coaches myself for other aspects of my business and my life. You should never pay somebody to be your mentor or A&R coach that does not also have a mentor or A&R coach, because we all need them. Nobody's perfect. Nobody knows everything. You need them for every aspect of your life. I have one for how to doing the calendar, keeps me accountable. One for doing scheduling, posting, doing stuff with the internet and YouTube videos while we're doing this. A lot of this stuff, they all keep me accountable in my life, so that way I get stuff done. Because without coaches or mentor, you don't get anywhere. Nobody does. So everybody who's been successful in life has had a coach or a mentor. Speaking of life, go ahead.
I was just going to say your mentor could have been a parent.
Yeah, it could be anybody. It could be my best friend. It could have been a teacher. There's been so many teachers in my life I could point to. My FFA teacher was definitely a mentor. I didn't know it at that point when I was in high school, obviously, that was what he was doing, but he was a mentor, and he's one of the biggest reasons why I'm where I'm at in my life. They come from all shapes and sizes. So, but speaking about the live Q&A that you mentioned, was there any light bulb moments you had when you were on a live Q&A that you heard somebody else say, or somebody in the community, or one of us?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard one. For me, the light bulbs are always going off. Sometimes it's like hitting the Staples easy button. Somebody else has already figured it out and they're just like, boom, this is how you do it. And I'm like, I just love that it is a true community. It's not just Mike and Jess, it's all of us together,
Yeah.
especially in the Microgreens business coaching part. We are all true business people and trying to thrive and grow our businesses. And we are truly trying to help one another. We'll bounce ideas off other people like, hey, I know you live in a climate somewhat similar as mine. I'm having this problem. What are you doing? Because Mike and Jess may not live where I live. Well, they don't. They may not have the same geographical challenges that I do, and somebody else may. Every state is different too. Sometimes if there's another grower that lives in the same state as you and have already figured out how to, get through some sort of red tape, you could be like, hey, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And they can hopefully point you in the right direction. It's wonderful. It's like having a group. We're all like-minded people together trying to accomplish the same goal, but it's not cutthroaty
Yeah.
in any way. There's no dog eat dog. Everybody's trying to lead everybody in the right direction.
My next question was about the community. So you answered that perfectly, how great a community is. It's just not a coaching group. It's just not classrooms. It's not courses. It's a community of people trying to go the same direction, basically. So what would you tell somebody that's watching this right now, if they're on the fence about joining our mentor coaching program, our community? What advice would you give them?
I would say do it. And if that means that you have to brew your coffee at home and not go to Starbucks, find a way and make it happen. That is what I would say. The biggest reason why you need to do it is because this is going to save you time. Time is something that you can never get back. And it's going to save you headaches because you're not going to buy the wrong stuff and waste money. And there's just so many things. There's so many resources that they have in there. If you want to go to farmers market, there's a farmers market checklist and these are the exact products they use to go to the market with. And here's the link. It really doesn't get better than that, you guys. They've already made the mistakes for us.
Plenty of them.
And that's all we know about it. But that's what's so awesome is that these are not just lists for the sake of lists. These are curated lists. These are lists of the tried and true. This is what they are currently using in their business that they are still running from day to day. They're still in the trenches, just like we are, growing the green, but harvesting the green, packaging the green, struggles, new complications. They have to pivot and figure out how to fix that too. And what's so awesome is that when they do, even if it's a happy accident, they share it with us. So it's awesome because now I know that when I get to where they are rack wise, I'll know what to do when I'm in that position, or I will know the right piece of equipment to fast track, save me more time and cost me less labor, when it's more than just me.
Yeah. Awesome. And if anybody's wanting to more information about this, there will be a link in the chat here, in the comments, in the link of this video as well. But also just comment, I want more information, or tell me more about Microgreen business coaching. We'll send you a personal message. Let's talk a little bit more about future and advice you could give somebody else to maybe be in your position. What is your next big goal for your microgreen business?
My next big goal is to get into the farmers markets, because it is just me, and I did have some health struggles, as we shared also, or I shared. That there's some recovery that still goes along with that. That is my goal, to get into that this year. The vegan nights helped me to get my toes wet in that aspect, that I know what a normal weekly schedule would look like if I was growing to that kind of volume every single week for a weekly market, plus what my chefs are ordering. So that is my big goal. My best advice to anybody on the fence about this is to just try. You heard me in the beginning. I said that I was the one in my own way. I was scared to try. You don't know until you try. Just try a bag of soil, some broccoli seeds, some trays. You don't even have to buy a grow light necessarily. There are very, very simple ways to dip your toe in this, just to see if you even like it. There's a reason why they say microgreens are the fastest growing cash crop.
Legal everywhere.
Legal cash crop in the United States. They grow so fast and they yield some good money, depending on the variety and the amount of yield.
Talking about that, you don't ever want to listen to somebody who just, like, we have a lot of racks, but you can see we grow on all the stuff that we have behind us as well. You can have 30 racks. Somebody can be like, I have 30 racks, but how much are they actually growing? How much yield they getting out of it and stuff, everything else. That is the biggest thing. So I can tell you that we sell everything that we grow. You can see it behind us. We're real microgreen growers. We don't have anybody else growing for us and making products. We're the ones doing it. It's 3 people, my wife, me, and one of our employees that's in this business. We try to keep it very lean because we want to keep the profit. And that's how you keep a profit and grow a business. We're 5 years in, but we're still in the process of building a business, and we want to help you out as that. If you could give somebody one piece of advice when they're first starting out, what would that be?
When you're first starting out, I would say to get into your other school group, the Microgreens for Profit group. The reason I say that is because it's no money. And you can learn a lot just from reading the posts, from other people's posts, other people's responses. If the other thing you could do is to see if it's something for you too, is to watch some of other itty bitty micro farm videos that they have, giving you instruction on how to grow stuff, but also just watching them. They have a lot of videos where they're literally, doing Q&As while they're planting, harvesting, you could just watch 10 minutes of that and see if that's something you could see yourself doing. It's not hard. You could have two black thumbs and still make six figures doing this business full time. So it could
Just do it
definitely happen to you.
for sure.
You don't have to win the lottery, but better chances than winning the lottery.
You can grow your own green and make your own green. For your business, where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years? Where do you see yourself being at? What's your vision?
Oh gosh, getting really good in the farmer's market this year is my biggest 1 year goal. Just doing that consistently weekly. That's my big 1 year goal. But beyond that, I definitely want to be in all of my local grocery store chains. So,
Nice. So is that your 1 year goal or a 5 year?
well, no, that's your goal. If I'm in grocery stores, I'm definitely going to need more than just me.
Yes, you will. Grocery stores can bring a good amount of money to you and a good consistent orders all the time. That is our main business. So you see the stuff growing behind us. That's probably 80% of our business is grocery stores, different chains, everything else. So I'm a big proponent of grocery stores. They're fun to deal with. They can be a chore to get into, which we can help with because we've got into multiples. So we can help you break that barrier quicker than what we did, for sure. So you can learn faster. What's something of encouragement that you would give somebody starting out, or if they're scaling up? What's an encouragement thing you could say to somebody?
If at first you don't succeed, try again. I'm going to echo something that you and Jess say to us all the time, and it's just to still be here in 3 years. Just keep trying. Just because you don't know how something works, get a mentor, get into a healthy, thriving group of people who are hungry to make this business work for themselves, who are supportive, and who will actually answer your questions. Keep trying, because a no really just means not now. And I can't tell you, I mean, just because I said my first customer was a caterer, that doesn't mean, that I haven't.
Nothing
I
else.
tell
Everything
me
else was easy for you, though. You know, you work it day.
people still tell me no because I live in a touristy area and it's cold right now. My business does a little bit of this because of the nature of restaurants. They don't have as many butts and seats. Well, guess what? They're not going to need as many microgreens for plates either. So
Yep.
that's why my goal is to get out into those farmers market so that I can do more direct to consumer sales and eventually into the grocery stores, because that's a regular sale. You go to the store, you sample your product, you have those customers try it. Again, people will buy what they try, whether it's directly from you or from the grocery store. They're going to sample, and that's why they do it at the big wholesale clubs, right? They're
Yep.
sampling crescent rolls or something, and that people will buy more crescent rolls. So it's no different with the microgreens. People will buy something that's good for them, believe it or not.
Yes.
The biggest takeaway is to get plugged into a healthy environment, a group that is going to help you grow, and just to keep trying. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Because you tried it one way and it didn't work doesn't mean it's never going to work. Maybe you just have to try something different. Instead of walking into the back of the restaurant and saying, "Hey, where's chef?" Maybe you need a clipboard.
Right. The world's famous clipboard.
More official, like unprofessional, and
Love it.
so I mean, there's all kinds of little things that can help you try it a different way. If first you don't succeed, try again. If you really want it and you're serious about being in business for yourself, this is an untapped market.
I agree with you. Such an untapped market. If you look at any trends in the industries and go into Google Trends, type it in, microgreen business is going like this. It's just getting ready to take off. We are still in the very early stages of this, and there's going to be more and more inventions going on, more things to help us out. So I hope to see you in the group. and let's make 2025 the best year yet.